Hello and welcome to my Earth Prayers tier list. So, I'm going to do things a little bit differently this time, but it's going to be like the same format. The only difference is going to be that I'm actually going to create like a tier list, but in the game. So, we have Livia, which will be S tier. Milani can be, actually, no, we'll make Mox. We'll make Mox A tier. Milani can be B tier, and then General Morgan can be C tier and lower. So, this will be the organization, so you can kind of see it. So the tier list is actually to the right. Someone on Reddit recommended that I use like one of the tier list things, but I just thought of this, and this will work just the same, so let's just do it this way. All right, so Earth Prayers. There's two elites in Earth Prayers, Ebon, Dust Aura, and Vow of Strength. First, let's go over Ebon, Dust Aura. So you deal, it just increases your damage, so it's actually just this would be close to a split you'd be running, or maybe you would reduce this to increase your Earth Prayers, especially when running Vow of Strength. So this increases your damage. You just deal Earth damage with your melee attacks, just 13 more. Initial effect, it blinds foes. End effect, it removes blindness from you. So this used to just be like a blind skill that just blinded things like constantly. In its current form, because it's on a 20-second cooldown, just the cost. Yeah, not the cooldown though. Okay, so this, I would say this is like B tier. So that would be Milani. So let's just throw this on her. So there's your B tier. You can kind of see it over here. Alright, so the next elite skill, the only other elite skill, Vow of Strength. Easy S tier, meta build, speed clears everything, so Olivia is going to get this. Let's just increase her Earth so we can see it. Alright, so S tier, Vow of Strength, so you can see it over there. Alright, so now let's go through the skills. Alright, Armor of Sanctity. Inflicts weakness on adjacents. You take 17 less damage from foes with the condition. So even without inflicting weakness, this makes anything running it tankier versus foes with a condition. So like let's say you're like splashing this. Taking 12 less damage from foes with a condition, or even probably like 11, I'm sure. Yeah, 11 less is not bad. And inflicting weakness on adjacent is good because it also reduces damage you would take. I would say this is like B tier utility. Actually, no, I would say this is like A tier because this could be used in like farming too. So this is definitely A tier. So that's going on Mox. Just get him his Earth Prayers. So A tier. All right, Aura of Thorns. Flash enchantments. Initial effect inflicts bleeding. End effect inflicts crippled. So this is just one of your spammy 5 energy, like cheapo flash enchantments. The bleed and the cripple isn't bad. It can hold foes. I would say this is A tier, mostly just for spamming, and because it's just one of those 5 energy cheap ones that you're probably going to be running. The cripple isn't bad either because it can help with crowd control. The bleed isn't bad, but it's mostly just used for like a spammy like flash enchantment, and it can be used as cover conditions as well. It hits nearby, which is good. So it's not like terrible. Like inflicting crippled on nearby is decent. So that's pretty good. So I'd say that's A tier. Conviction. Gain plus 10 armor while conditioned. Gain 2 energy health regeneration for each condition you have. End effect removes 2. So this one I would say is also A tier. The plus 10 armor is nice while conditioned. Health regen for each condition is nice. Makes you a little tankier while conditioned. And then removing conditions isn't bad. This and Aura of Thorns are just like your spammy teardowns. So, but they also have useful utility, and you would run one or the other, possibly both, just for like spamming teardowns. But I would say that's A tier. All right, Dust Cloak. Your attacks deal Earth damage. Initial effect deals 30 Earth damage to nearby. End effect inflicts blind for 3 seconds on nearby. So I'd say this is A tier as well. Being able to put blind on nearby isn't bad. You're mostly attacking backliners or if enemies are balled up. But if enemies are balled up and like they have a huge group of enemy melee, inflicting blind on all of them is good. It's a 6-second cooldown flash enchantment, so pretty strong. It's very spammable. You can definitely run it. Fleeting stability. You cannot be knocked down and move 25% faster. Ends if knockdown is prevented. Great skill for runners and for like just countering knockdowns. So I would say it's A tier for utility. Then we have Mirage Cloak. This is definitely A tier. Like, just look at this. This is insane. Like at 10 Earth Prayers, like let's say you had like 9 or something, like you're like splashing this as a secondary. You have a 64% chance to block, and then it just does some damage, but mostly you'd use this for the blocking. I would say this is good for like maybe some farm builds, for tanking in general. Like being able, like if you actually get high enough, like 12 Earth Prayers, you have a 72% chance to block. Like, that's crazy. On a flash enchantment, that's really good. Like, getting that high of a chance to block for, like, on a 10-second cooldown for 6 out of 6 seconds is pretty good. That's definitely A tier utility, just for, like, tanking, maybe some farming. Mystic Regeneration. You have health regen, +3 for each enchantment. I would say this is A tier, because this is going to be used in farming. It's not really good in general play. Like, you wouldn't really run this in general play, but, like, there's some farming builds that I believe use this. I could be wrong, though. Maybe farming has been updated, but from what I remember, this is used in farming. Mystic Sandstorm deals 18 earth damage each second, deals an additional 18 to attacking foes, hits nearby to your initial location, lasts twice as long if enchanted. Definite A tier. This is a spammable adrenaline, like, mini Sandstorm. Like, the skill Sandstorm does, like, 30 damage on nearby for 10 seconds, deals double if they're attacking. So this thing can deal like 40 damage a second for 6 seconds on attacking foes on nearby, and it's adrenaline based. That's pretty good. It's not like the best, but it's decent. It's like good enough that you know that's decent. Pious Concentration prevents interrupts, intervention or prevention costs, lose a dervish enchantment, or it ends. So this will prevent 1 interrupt on its own. In PvE, this isn't the best unless you're fighting like some specific mesmers. So I would say this is like C tier. In PvP, this is really strong. But I'm going to give this one to my boy General Morgan. So he gets Pious Concentration. In PvP, this is really good, but you would only really use this on a caster, and it costs you 10 energy. And then if you want it to prevent multiple interrupts, it costs, like, you know, dervish enchantments and skill slots, so that's just not very good. Alright, so Sand Shards, S tier. Why is this S tier? Well, deal 50 damage to other adjacent foes whenever you hit with your scythe, ends after 4 hits. On a 10-second cooldown, used with Vow of Strength, this does insane spike damage, especially when foes are balled up. Definite S tier. Alright, so let's get to Shield of Force. Blocks the next 1 attack against you, knocks down, inflicts weakness on all adjacent attacking. So I would say this is like A tier. Let me get another hero. Just like, you're a dervish now. I need another A tier bar. She's just running some random crap, but let me fix this. Alright. Let's just put these away. Earth Prayers. Alright, so this is A tier continued. So this is how we'll do the tier lists, so we can just kind of like expand if needed. Alright, so Shield of Force I would say is A tier. The reason for that is if, like, let's say there's like 4 enemy melee around a dude and they use this. They block an attack, great, but it knocks all adjacent down and inflicts weakness on them, so that's pretty good. On attacking. So yeah, so it's pretty good. It can be a quick knockdown. It should be good in hard mode. Could be good for farming too, or just controlling foes, but that's definitely, like, this is definitely in B tier. Like an AoE knockdown on a 12-second cooldown against attacking is definitely objectively useful. Signet Pious Light. Heals for 94, remove a dervish enchantment, it becomes back faster. I would say this is C tier. Why is the C tier? Healing dervish build is weird. It's not the best. There's better ways of healing. The fact that you have to invest so much into Earth Prayers just to heal like another ally or yourself isn't the best, because there's no other healing in Earth Prayers. So you're kind of just like, you just have like a random heal. It's just not really good. Staggering Force. Your attacks deal earth damage, deal some damage on nearby, and effect inflicts cracked armor. So this, I'm trying to debate if it's S or A tier. I want to say it's S tier because being able to spam cracked armor like that boosts your damage against foes with over max armor, with over 60 armor. So I would say this is probably S tier. Let's give this to Olivia. The reason for that is that 1, it's on a 6-second cooldown. 2, it inflicts cracked armor on nearby, which is nuts. Like, it boosts your party's damage, it boosts your damage. Like, this is just good. This is just really good. Veil of Thorns. This one, dude, what is this? Oh my god, like, I forgot this skill exists, because, like, I almost never play derv, but, like, I used to way back in the day. Spell damage is reduced by 29% S tier. Just from that. Just from that. Are you fucking kidding me? Spell damage is reduced for 21 seconds. Let's say I have, like, say I have, like, 9 investment in this. 23%? What? For 17... This is a broken... Hold on, let's say 8. Jesus Christ, 21... Like... You can put 8 in. Let's see what does 6 look like. What does 6 look like? 17%. That's still a big impact. So if you could like, let's say you have a build like you can be an elementalist. You can be an elementalist and run this. And not only could you run this as an elementalist, like let's say you want to be tanky, 21% reduction and like you could probably put 9 into this. 23% reduction in spell damage and 64% chance to block. Like what the fuck? This skill blows my mind. Like, even with, like, little investment, this is S tier. Are you kidding me? It just reduces spell damage casually. This is, like, one of the few skills in the game that can just do that. This reduces enemy domination damage against you. That is S tier. Like, I don't even know. Like, you could use this on almost, like, anything just for tanking, but, like, just the fact that there is a skill that does this is, like, S tier for sure. You can become, like, more tanky, like, against spell damage. That's the main thing that kills you in hard mode is spell damage. If anything does. So I would say that's S tier. The dealing damage thing, who cares? But mainly tanking spell damage is nuts. Yeah, any spell damage. It's crazy. It can be holy damage, doesn't matter. Vital Boon increases max health. End effect heals you if you remove it. This can be useful on a derv for like tanking. My problem with it is that if it was a flash enchantment, I would say it's good. I would say it's A tier. But because it's not, you have to actually cast this. I would say this is like C tier. The reason is like flash enchantments activate instantly. So like when you cast this, it's 1 second casting time and like 0.75 seconds after cast. So 1.75 seconds to increase your max health, and then you can tear it down. So it's definitely not the best. It kind of has some issues of just like you're trying to DPS things, you're not trying to cast spells on yourself. Like if you use this before combat, sure, but then you're like slowing yourself down to cast things before combat. So, all right, so I'm gonna close this. We'll check out the tier list. So here's S tier, here's A tier, here's B tier, and here's C tier. So I'm just gonna keep it to like if something is C tier, it's basically like you could run it, but it's not really good. B tier is like you could kind of run it. A tier is like it's decent. You could run it in like some situations. S tier is like it's really good or it's insane. So Vow of Strength is probably S plus tier to be honest, because it's like definitely better than these. Veil of Thorns, like you might be like, oh, that's probably A tier, but like just reducing spell damage to me is insane. I would say that's S tier. Not on a dervish, probably like on like a backliner that's going to be getting hit with spells constantly. Tanking spell damage is really strong. The nearby damage, you don't care about that, but you really care about the tanking spell damage, which is crazy. Maybe it's A tier, but still, that just blows my mind. Staggering Force, cracked armor on nearby is great. There's not that many ways of getting cracked armor to hit nearby. This is one of them, so definitely S tier. Sand Shards, S tier. A lot of these like are utility, like Aura puts crippled and bleed on nearby. It's a good teardown that's cheap. Conviction can remove conditions, make you a little bit tanky while condition, give you some health regen, but mostly it's used for teardown. Dust Cloak, mostly used for teardown to inflict blind, but also just a spammy teardown. So it's not bad. Armor of Sanctity can make anything tanky, like especially like it just makes you tanky versus foes with conditions. Also inflicts weakness. So if like 1 or 2 of your backline has this, it just puts weakness on foes and makes them tankier against them, which against already weakened foes. So it's decent. It's A tier. Fleeting Stability, A tier utility for running and preventing KD. Mirage Cloak can just give you an insane chance to block. Decent teardown, not bad. Mystic Regeneration can be used in some farming builds, from what I can recall. And if it isn't, maybe it's rotated out. Maybe it's not as good. I'd say it's B tier, but it seems decent. Just for like farming. Mystic Sandstorm, some damage over time. It's an adrenaline-based 6-second DOT that does 120 damage while you're enchanted, or it does 240 to attacking foes last 6 seconds. It's interesting. Maybe it's not that good because it'll scatter balled up foes, so maybe it's like B tier, but it's interesting. Shield of Forest, really good in PvP. Just stop spikes against you, like if a physical's attacking you. It can hit multiple foes, knock them down, weaken them, which can be useful for backliners to defend themselves against enemy melee. Can be good against balled up foes, just to knock them all down if they're all attacking. So it has like its use cases. It could be used in farming. So yeah, and then Ebon Dust Aura. It's like B tier just because it's just not really the best. Blinds foes. Hold on, her attributes aren't accurate. Let's give her good earth prayers. So it increases your damage and then initial effect blinds. If this was on a 10-second cooldown, I would say it's A tier, but because it's on a 20-second cooldown, and it like you're not gonna look, you don't really want to tear this down because you want the increased damage. Because after it blinds things, it's not the best. An end effect removes blindness is like meh, like who cares? Yeah, this needs buffed. Pious Concentration, mostly PvP. Circumstantially good when you need to prevent interrupts. So that would be like circumstantially A or B tier. Signet of Pious Lights, just a random. It's like the only heal in Earth Prayers, so not very good. Vital Boon. It could be good if it was a flash enchantment with a higher cooldown, but unfortunately you have to manually cast this. You can use it to heal yourself, which is good, which isn't bad, but you shouldn't really be healing yourself if you're DPS. You should just be killing things, so I'd say it's C tier. So yeah, that's my Earth Prayers tier list. You can kind of see it here. I'm glad I thought of this. It's kind of dumb, but it literally is what a tier list would look like. You have your like tiers and organization and everything. So yeah, thanks for checking this out, and I'll see you in the next one.